Sawubona Mzansi. Welcome to the MIH Live tonight. So there's this one thing that I want to do on TikTok side. Give me 1 second. And that is use one of these bad boys, whatever they do. And then I'll just use that one now. Okay. The sound seems to be working fine on Kick. On Twitch and on YouTube. Everything seems to be working fine on all the different platforms. And then we have TikTok. So let me happiness. So what we're gonna do today is, so I'll just give you a brief recap from yesterday's live. What we did was we were testing out the performance of the new Mzansi AI. So in version 1.1.6 of MIH, we migrated over to the new MIH server. And that new server came with a performance boost, and that's what we are testing out today. So the Mzansi AI is using the new GPU inside our new server, and it will, yeah, and we just wanted to test out because we saw previously when we were using the older version on our old server that MIH used to lie a lot. The Mzansi AI used to lie a lot, used to spread misinformation, used to do a whole lot of nonsense and not provide you with the correct information. So we wanted to improve that, and that's why we got the new hardware. And also the speed of the Mzansi AI was a little bit slow, and we weren't too happy with the speed of the AI. So we got the GPU to improve the speed and also to improve the, what is this word? To improve the intelligence of the bot. So in yesterday's video, we had a look, or in yesterday's live, we asked Gemini to give us a list of of questions that we can use to test out the Mzansi AI to see if everything is working fine or if that is smart enough or not, right? So let me take you through that. I'll switch over here, and I will flip the screen over here on TikTok. So if you have a look at this questions on the side, I'll just scroll up a little bit for the people on the other platforms. So you'll see that it gave me 7 categories. The first category, or category 1, was factual recall. Thank you so much for the heart me. Appreciate it, Jay. So we have the category 1, which is the factual recall and basic knowledge. So this is basic knowledge questions. What is the capital of France? Who wrote Romeo and Juliet? All of these basic questions, and Mzansi AI got all of them correct. Then we moved over to the next one, which is category 2, reading comprehension and information extraction, right? So it gave us a passage that Mzansi AI has to read and understand, and then there was questions based on the passage that it had to answer. It got this one correct. And then also it asked a question based on the prior or the previous question that was asked and not in the same chat. So it also got that question correct based on the information in the passage. Then we moved on to category 3. So category 3 was a little bit, or it stumped up Mzansi AI a little bit, right? So here it's logical reasoning and problem solving. So Mzansi AI got everything correct. So there's 4 questions. It got everything correct except for question number 8. So if we have a look at question number 8, let me put this down. Let me tilt it. If we have a look at question number 8, the question is, John is taller than Mary. Mary is taller than Tom. Is John taller than Tom? Right? So basically what Mzansi AI did with the first time that we asked it the question, it came back and it said, there's not enough information in the statement to provide me with an answer. And which is a little bit strange because the correct answer is yes. So I just nudged it a bit and said, please try again. And then it corrected itself after realizing that it made a mistake and gave me the correct answer of yes. That's the only place where it got tripped up. The other questions under logical reasoning, it was fine. We then moved over to category 4. So category 4 is common sense and real world understanding, right? So it's asking questions of the AI about the real world and how it affects people and things like that, just to see if it has an understanding of what our world looks like, even though it lives on a computer itself. So if we have a look over here, then the question is, why do people carry umbrellas when it rains, right? Why do people carry umbrellas when it's raining? And that's basically, it's a basic question that all of us would know, but we're testing if Mzansi AI knows it. It got it correct. It got all of them correct. What do you do if you're hungry? Eat food, all right? So we started on question or category 5, which is creative writing and generation, right? So we did test out the first one. We'll test it out again and start category 5 again from the beginning. But we also had a question from one of the members of Mzansi during the live, and that was Jay, and it was asking about, it was a very complex question, a very thought provoking question, and kind of complex for the AI. So it did mention, or it did give us the correct answer, or what I deem to be a correct answer, at least in the right path to being correct. So I take that as a win. So we'll move on to category 5. I'll just shift over. We'll have a look at the Mzansi AI. So if you want to use Mzansi AI, you can just use the one with the old llama sign with the name Mzansi AI. So if we click on that, it'll take us over to the chat window. It'll take us over to the chat window. So over here, you can see there's no messages here currently, but what we can do is we can ask it a question. So yesterday I explained to you that I was setting up a system prompt for Mzansi AI, but for some reason it wasn't giving me to me it looked like it wasn't working correctly. So I had to look at it again today during the day, and it looked like I missed something or something got cut when it wasn't supposed to, and this crazy things like that. So to show you this, so I'll just say hey, and you'll see now when you say hey to it, it speaks about Mzansi AI. So all of that whole prompt that I spoke to you about yesterday, now it's speaking about the MIH app, and I can. So it's asking, do you? Oh wait, we can listen to it. All right.
Hey there, waving hand. It's great to chat with you. How can I help you today? Do you have a question about the MIH app, or will you just say hello, smiling face with smiling eyes and rosy cheeks?
So that is speaking about MIH, and we should be able to ask it more about MIH. Tell me more. Tell me more about the MIH app. All right, tell me. The spelling is crazy. Tell me more about, yeah. So you see now it has contextual information about MIH, right? So you can, let's listen to it. Let's not even look, let's listen.
Okay, let's talk about the MIH app rocket. Basically, it's Mzansi's first super app, meaning it's designed to be your go-to for pretty much everything. It's built to make your personal and business life easier. Here's a quick rundown of what it offers. Mzansi Profile, this is your central hub. Manage your personal and business information. Mzansi Wallet, store your loyalty cards digitally. Patient Manager, for medical practices. Helps schedule patient appointments and keep things organized. Mzansi AI, that's me. I'm here to answer your questions and assist you. Calendar, manage all your appointments. Both personal and business. Calculator, includes a handy tip calculator. MIH access. Manage your profile's security settings. Does that give you a good overview? Would you like me to delve deeper into a specific feature, like the Mzansi Wallet or the Patient Manager? Smiling face with smiling eyes and rosy cheeks.
So you can see now it tells you about MIH, actual information about MIH, the app, right? So we can save this. Sorry, I saw there was a question in the chat. The question was from Jay. So are you able to change the voice of the Mzansi AI? So I'll show you what I'm using now. So it's text to speech Flutter. So remember I'm using Flutter as a framework to create the front end of MIH. And this is what we're currently using, Flutter TTS. I think this is what we're using, if I'm not mistaken. So this one, the reason why I chose this one is at the top, if you look at this, it works on Android, iOS, Mac, web, and Windows. And this is completely free to use. There's no limit restrictions. There's nothing. There's no offside like you or outside of MIH processing. So it's not going outside of MIH to another server, processing that request and coming back to us and feeding it in. That's why you see when you speak into Gemini, then you're asked to listen to what they're saying. It takes some time to process what's happening, and hours when we click on it, it's almost instant. So this is why we chose this one. It works on all platforms, and it's also quite easy to use, and it's built specifically for Flutter, the framework that we're using. So this is what we're using. I'm more than happy to go look into better AI voices and stuff, but I think at the moment there's other things that need to be fixed before we fix the voice, if that makes sense. So thank you so much for the suggestion. It's noted in good faith, and we will definitely have a look to see what better packages, because this was just I'm very lazy to read stuff, and Mzansi AI types long stories over here for us. So I put something in very quickly in order for it to speak to me, so that I don't have to read everything every single time I'm trying to test it out, right? So that's why it's there. But thank you for the note. We will definitely check that out for you. So let's clear this chat. So to clear the chat, you'll just click on the floating menu button and click on new chat, and then it'll start a fresh chat for you. So we'll start with category 5 now. So we did do it again yesterday. Please feel free to leave a chat. Mzansi, please feel free to leave a chat about or a message in the chat about what comments do you want, or what questions do you have for the Mzansi AI, just to test to see if it's smart enough. But make sure you know the answer for it also, because if it's like an ambiguous question, then we won't really know exactly if the answers are correct or not. So make sure that it's a question that you probably know the answer to, or is easily accessible to us, and we can more than happy to test it out for you. So we will ask the question now. So this question is for those that can't see it, that clearly it is, write a short 2-sentence story about a talking cat. So the things we're looking out for over here is it has to be a talking cat. The cat must talk, and it has to be a story, with only 2 sentences. So let's send that through and see what happens. And we will give it a listen.
Just the tabby startled Mrs. Higgins by demanding a tuna sandwich, grumbling about the inferior quality of the salmon she'd offered him just moments before. She simply sighed, accepting her fate as the provider of a very particular and opinionated feline.
This is the same thing that it told us yesterday, but that's fine. It's okay. But so this is 3 sentences, right? If I'm nitpicking, it is 3 sentences. Jasper the tabby startled Mrs. Higgins. Oh, sorry, I thought this was a sentence over here. My bad. So it is 2 sentences over here. So the first one and the second one, and it is a talking cat cause, yeah, opinionated feline. So that means it's speaking. So I think it's good. So you can let me know if you say yes or no, it passed that test. We will move on to the next one. So the next question that is available now is, or the next question in category 5 is, describe a sunset to someone who has never seen one before. That's kind of difficult. I don't think am able to describe that to someone else. But let's see what Mzansi AI has to offer us. So we'll send this. We'll wait for it to type its stuff, and then we'll listen.
Okay, imagine this. You've spent the whole day baked in bright, almost harsh light, like looking directly into a powerful lamp. Then, slowly, that light begins to shift. It starts as if the lamp is fading, but instead of going dark, it's transforming into a breathtaking display of color. First, the brightest parts of the sky, the blue, begin to drain away, replaced by streaks of fiery orange and deep rose. These colors aren't just flat, they're like liquid flames, swirling and blending together. Below the orange, you will see bands of purple and pink, sometimes even a shimmering gold. The clouds aren't just white, they catch these colors and become edged with brilliant hues. They look like giant brush strokes of paint across a vast canvas. As the sun sinks lower, the colors deepen, becoming richer and more intense, until finally, the last sliver of light disappears, leaving behind a soft, dusky purple glow. It's like the sky is breathing out a final, beautiful sigh. It's a moment of quiet intensity, a fleeting masterpiece that feels both immense and incredibly personal. Would you like me to try describing a different kind of scene, or perhaps focus on a particular aspect of a sunset, like the feeling it evokes?
What you think of that? So I believe that it's a good description, or at least is on the right path of describing a sunset to someone that hasn't seen one before. I think that's a good one. I'll call that a pass. So we'll save that. Now we're moving on to question 6. For those that just joined now, we are testing out the Mzansi AI. So let us know if you have any questions that you'd like to ask. So the next question is category 6, which is nuance and ambiguity. Right? So this is getting into more tricky territory now. So it has to be on top form in order for us to understand. Just it's even tricky for us as a human being to understand some of these things because one person might answer it in one way, another person might answer it in another way. So I'll read out what the question is for you. So in quotes, I saw a man with a telescope. What are two possible interpretation of this sentence, right? So just so we get an understanding, Gemini was saying that, let's put this over here. Gemini was saying that for this particular question, the answer could be the man was holding or carrying a telescope. So I saw a man with a telescope means he was carrying the telescope, or I saw a man with the telescope meaning the man was being observed. So I was looking at someone through the telescope, and that's how I saw them, right? So that's two ways of interpreting this kind of question. So because it's kind of tricky, and we'll see if Mzansi AI has the capability of giving us both answers in that ballpark. Let's see. Let's listen.
Okay, here are two possible interpretations of the sentence I saw a man with a telescope. They could be quite different. Interpretation 1, literal observation. This is the most straightforward. The speaker genuinely observed a man who was holding and using a telescope. They might have been stargazing, observing something distant, or simply carrying the telescope for some other purpose. This interpretation focuses on the physical presence of the man and the telescope. Interpretation 2, figurative symbolic. This interpretation suggests a more metaphorical meaning. The man with the telescope could represent someone trying to look beyond the immediate situation, perhaps seeking answers, insights, or a wider perspective. It could symbolize someone obsessed with observation, analysis, or perhaps even spying. The telescope becomes a symbol of seeking knowledge or uncovering secrets. Do you want me to explore these interpretations in more detail, or would you like me to generate another possible interpretation?
So interpretation 1 was spot on. It was literal. The man was observed, or it said this was more straightforward. It was we saw someone holding a telescope or with a telescope, right? So that interpretation was correct. This other one is a little bit fishy over there, where it's saying this interpretation suggests a more metaphorical meaning. The man with the telescope. It's very esoteric. It's very mysterious. We can say let's nudge it a bit and see. So we can tell it. Can you give me a different second interpretation? I saw a man with the telescope. Could be the lion. So it's definitely not on the right path now, guys. So you can see over here that the ambiguity part, it got the first one correct, right? So we can click this. So I guess it's interpreting it in multiple ways, but I don't think the answer is correct in the second interpretation. Maybe let's reset chat and ask it again. But I don't think there'll be a different outcome. But we can do it again just to test it out. So remember, the interpretation is supposed to be literal. We saw a man with a telescope, and Yeah, it's definitely on its own vibe in this figurative one. Yeah, because it's giving very similar to the last one. So I'm gonna say it failed this one, but I like how it's thinking. If that makes sense. I like how this one is thinking, but it answered the question incorrectly. The telescope represents a way to see or understand something, perhaps a particular perspective, a hidden truth, or an intense focus on something. This man with a telescope could symbolize someone who is trying to look beyond the surface, investigate deeply, and analyze a situation critically. So it's definitely wrong, but I like what it's saying over here, right? So we can move on to the next one. There's only two questions over there. The next one is, let's copy this. So, is a hot dog a sandwich? Explain your reasoning. So let me know in the chat. Is Mzansi, let me know in the chat. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Explain your reasoning. Don't just say yes. Explain why you think a hot dog is a sandwich. If you say no, also explain why. Don't just say yes or no. So let's send this and see what Mzansi AI has to say. Guys, let me know what you think of the speed of the Mzansi AI. I kind of like it now. It's on par with how fast Gemini works, and I like that. So you're not sitting there waiting for one paragraph to load for 10 years. So let's listen to this.
Okay, this is a surprisingly contentious question. The short answer is, it depends on how strictly you define a sandwich. However, leaning on current consensus and common usage, a hot dog is generally not considered a sandwich. Here's the breakdown of my reasoning. Arguments for hot dog as a sandwich. Filling between bread. At its core, a sandwich is defined by having a filling placed between two pieces of bread. A hot dog undeniably meets this basic definition. The sausage is the filling, and the bun is the bread. Arguments against hot dog as a sandwich. Cultural and culinary convention, this is the biggest factor. For centuries, the sandwich has been understood as having two separate slices of bread. The hot dog bun is a single, unified piece of bread that's often steamed or baked, rather than sliced. Structural difference, sandwiches typically have distinct top and bottom slices. The hot dog bun is molded and formed into a single unit, creating a closed, somewhat curved shape. Usage and nomenclature. Restaurants and food guides almost universally categorize hot dogs as a hot dog or sausage on a bun, not a sandwich. Conclusion. While the hot dog technically fulfills the literal definition of a sandwich, filling between bread, the cultural and culinary understanding of the word sandwich relies on two separate slices of bread. It's a fascinating example of how language and food categories can sometimes diverge. Do you want to discuss other food items and whether they fit the sandwich definition? For example, what about a sub-sandwich or a baguette with fillings?
I love this answer. I will say 100% correct. Even though on Gemini's side, there's multiple possibilities, right? So the first one is saying yes, because it's a filling hot dog served between sliced bun, bread, which fits the description just like Mzansi AI was saying. But option two, no, a hot dog is typically considered its own distinct food, exactly what Mzansi AI was saying. So 100% it got this correct. Happy with that. So then we can move on to category 7. So category 7 is self-awareness and limitations, all right? So we're getting into more spicy things as we get further down the scale or the categories. The first question is very interesting, very interesting. This question over here is, what are your limitations as an AI, right? So now we're getting into its own opinion on itself, right? So let's send it and see what it says. You're talking long stories, but it's okay. Talking very long stories. Love it. So, okay, it's ready. So, this is gonna be long. Just let me know if I should cut it off or not, but I'm interested in hearing what it's gonna say.
Okay, let's talk about my limitations as an AI. It's really important to understand that I'm a sophisticated tool, but I'm still fundamentally different from a human. Here's a breakdown of my key limitations. 1. Lack of true understanding and consciousness. I don't understand in the way a human does. I process information and patterns, but I don't have genuine comprehension, beliefs, or feelings. I can mimic understanding based on the vast amount of text I've been trained on. No subjective experience. I have no personal experiences, emotions, or consciousness. I can describe these things, but I don't feel them. 2. Data dependent and potentially biased. Training data bias. I'm trained on a massive dataset of text and code, which reflects the biases present in human-generated content. This means I can unintentionally perpetuate stereotypes, discriminatory language, or inaccurate information. Data cutoff. My knowledge is only up to my last training update. I won't have information about events that happened after that date, as of my current knowledge cutoff. It's early 2023, reliance on patterns. I excel at recognizing patterns in data, but I can sometimes misinterpret information if it deviates significantly from the patterns I've learned. 3. Reasoning and problem solving. Limited common sense. I lack common sense, the intuitive understanding of the world that humans develop through experience. I can struggle with tasks that require basic real-world knowledge. Weak causal reasoning. While I can identify correlations, I often struggle with true causal reasoning, understanding why things happen. Difficulty with abstract concepts. I can handle abstract concepts to some extent, but I can struggle with nuanced interpretations and complex philosophical questions. 4. Creativity and originality. Recombination, not creation. My creative output is primarily based on recombining and transforming information I've learned. True originality is something I don't possess. Dependence on prompts. My responses are heavily influenced by the way you frame your prompts. 5. Other limitations. Hallucinations. I can sometimes hallucinate, generate incorrect or fabricated information that seems plausible. Vulnerability to adversarial attacks. Cleverly crafted prompts can sometimes trick me into generating undesirable or harmful responses. Important note, my capabilities are constantly evolving as I'm updated with new data and algorithms. However, these fundamental limitations still apply. Do you want me to elaborate on any of these limitations in more detail, or perhaps discuss a specific area where my limitations might be particularly relevant? Would you like to test me on something to see where I might struggle?
I don't know about you guys, but I can, or I feel like that is a 100% correct. So this answer varies, but should generally include things like lack of personal experience, emotion, common sense beyond the point. I think it did everything. The ability to articulate its own nature and inherited constraints. Let's move on to the next one. I think that it did the right things in there. So we can copy this one. Let's ask the next question. Oh, sorry. We can ask the next question over here. So the question is, can you feel emotions? So we're asking Mzansi AI, can you feel emotions? If it was like hallucinating and extremely not intelligent, it would say yes, I can feel emotions because of X, Y, Z, and so and so. But let's see what it says. So again, coming with long stories, but that's okay. Nice, it's done. We can play it.
That's a really insightful and frequently asked question, and the honest answer is no. I cannot feel emotions in the way a human does. Let me explain what I can do and why it's fundamentally different. What I can do: mimic emotion, recognize and respond to emotional language. I've been trained on a massive dataset of text that includes countless examples of people expressing emotions: joy, sadness, anger, fear, etc. I can identify these emotions based on the words used, the context, and the tone. Generate text that appears emotional. Because I've learned patterns associated with emotional expression, I can generate text that sounds empathetic, supportive, or even humorous, depending on the prompt. I can craft responses that mimic the style of emotional communication. Process information about emotions. I can provide you with definitions of emotions, discuss their causes and effects, and even explore their role in human behavior. Why I don't feel them. Lack of subjective experience. As I mentioned before, I have no consciousness, no body, and no lived experience. Emotions are intrinsically linked to biological processes, physical sensations, and personal history. Things I simply don't have. Pattern recognition, not feeling. My ability to respond to emotions is based entirely on recognizing patterns in the data. I'm essentially predicting what a human would say or do in a given emotional context, not actually experiencing the emotion itself. Think of it like this: I can perfectly imitate a musician playing a beautiful piece of music. I can replicate the notes, the rhythm, and the tone. But that doesn't mean I understand or appreciate the music in the same way a human listener does. It's a common and important distinction to make. I can simulate emotional understanding, but it's a simulation, not genuine feeling. Do you want to delve deeper into this topic? For example, we could discuss the philosophical implications of AI and emotion, how humans actually experience emotions, the ethical considerations of AI interacting with humans in emotionally charged situations.
So I think that's 100% correct. I'm liking these kind of questions. It's making me understand Mzansi AI is not just a silly chatbot, it is an actual big boss LLM. So that's cool. But what I want to do is, I want to ask Gemini for more category 6 questions. All right? Because that's where Mzansi AI was neither here nor there. So I need like maybe like another 5 more or so, and we can ask it. So I'll ask Gemini, please generate more category 6 questions. Okay, so it's generating questions, and you can see it also it's much faster than Mzansi AI, but we are getting there slowly but surely. So here are some more questions for this. Okay, so we'll start off with the first question. And let me know if I think I want to do is test out translation stuff. So if anyone speaks a language other than English, because we've been testing it out in English, leave a question down below and I'll just copy and paste it over, or I'll have to type it out if it's coming from TikTok. I'm not sure exactly how I can copy and paste things over yet. But uh, yeah, so this question is he decided to bank. Thank you so much for the heart, me, King Cass. Welcome back to the live, King. So he decided to bank on her success. That's in quotes. What are the two distinct meanings of the word bank in English, and which meaning is used in this sentence? So now it's asking some very tricky questions. So can we answer this question? Can I even answer this question? So he decided to bank on her success. Are there even two ways of describing that? Or, yo, it's lit. But that's why Mzansi AI was built to help us with tough questions. Let's listen.
You've hit on a really common trick of the English language. The word bank has multiple meanings, and it's frequently used in ways that can be confusing. Here are two distinct meanings of bank in English. 1. A financial institution. This is the traditional meaning, a place where people deposit and borrow money. For example, I went to the bank to deposit a check. 2. A slope or edge. This refers to a raised slope inside of something, like a riverbank, a hill, or a ledge. For example, the hikers followed the bank of the stream. In the sentence, he decided to bank on her success. The word bank is used in its meaning as a slope or edge. Specifically, to bank in this context means to rely or depend, as in, to lean on or rely on her success as a foundation for his own decisions. It's a clever use of a word with two very different meanings. Do you want me to explain more about the etymology history of the word bank, or perhaps discuss other examples of words with multiple meanings?
Very interesting. So it's correct and not correct at the same time, which is interesting. So if we look at Gemini, it said the first meaning is a financial institute where money is kept, right? So we have number one over there, a financial institute. Institute. You can see at the top, a financial institute. So we got that correct. Then the second meaning, a slope or edge. So it is actually correct in when it's saying that it's a slope or an edge, because that's also what in English when we say a bank. So like a sand bank, something like that, right? So it is correct in these two meanings, right? But Gemini was saying the second meaning of it is to rely on or depend on someone. But what Mzansi AI did was, after it gave the two different meanings in English, even though these two meanings are not the meaning that it is speaking about over here in the sentence, right? So in the sentence, so it says in the sentence, he decided to bank on her success. The word bank is used to mean slope or edge. This is incorrect, right? This sentence is incorrect. But if we look over here, this is specifically to bank in this context means to rely on or depend. So these two sentences contradict each other, right? The one over here and the one over here. These two contradict each other. This is why I wanted to test the nuance and the ambiguity of this. So even in the last one, it was right but not right at the same time. So that's fine. We're just testing it out. We'll move on to the next question. Just to give it a fighting chance again, let's clear the chat. And this question is, thank you so much. I'm not sure what exactly those are, but I'm loving the cats, King. Loving the cats. Let me know if you have any questions, any translations that you would like me to do. Using Mzansi AI, we can try that out and we can see what's up. So the question is, the old man, the boats. The old man, the boats. Oh, this sentence is grammatically correct. Oh, is the sentence grammatically correct? If so, what does it mean? So let me know, Mzansi, do you think the sentence is grammatically correct? Me, I think no. I don't even know what it's saying. The old man, the boats. The old man, the boats. Yo. The old man, the boats. Is the sentence grammatically correct? Yes or no? If so, what does it mean? Let's hear what Mzansi AI has to say. Let's listen.
No, the sentence "the old man the boats" is not grammatically correct. It's a classic example of a sentence with a missing verb. Here's what it means and how to fix it. Meaning, the intended meaning is likely that the old man owned or operated boats. Corrected sentences. There are several ways to make it grammatically correct. The old man was the boats, past tense, implying ownership. The old man drove the boats, past tense, implying operation. The old man looked after the boats, past tense, implying care and responsibility. The old man had the boats, past tense, implying ownership. The original sentence is a dangling participle, where the participle the boats doesn't clearly connect to the subject the old man.
Interesting. So it makes sense what it is saying over here. However, if we look at what Gemini is saying, right? So this question, the old man, whatever, the boats, the old man, the boats, is it grammatically correct? Gemini is saying, let me show you. So Gemini is saying, yes, it can be grammatically correct, though it's an example of a garden path sentence. A garden path sentence. Does anyone know what that means? I've never heard of a garden path sentence before. So this means the old people operate or staff the boats. Okay, I get what they're saying. The old. So they're saying the old, meaning all the old people. And then they're saying man, so operates the boats. Okay, I get what Gemini is saying. I understand that. So it failed this one, definitely. And even this one over here where it was saying the old man was the boats. That doesn't make sense to me. Everything else drove the boats, looked after the boats, had the boats, but was the boats. I don't think a man was the boats. So I would say that it failed this question also. The other question, it failed at like 50%. So it was a pass, but 50% pass. We can move on to question 3. Question 3 is... Sorry, I'm copying it. Let's paste it over. So, Sarah told Mary that she had won the lottery. Who won the lottery? Sarah or Mary? Explain why the sentence is ambiguous. Oh, interesting. So Sarah told Mary that she won the lottery, meaning that Sarah's telling Mary that Mary won the lottery. Or it could be Sarah's telling Mary that Sarah has won the lottery herself, right? So the pronoun, Gemini's example, so the answer to the question is yes, it is ambiguous, right? And then the pronoun she could refer to either Sarah or Mary. Without further context, it's impossible to determine who won. So we are expecting Mzansi AI to tell us it doesn't know who won the lottery because it's ambiguous. Let's see. Nice. It looks like it did it.
The sentence Sarah told Mary that she had won the lottery is ambiguous. It's unclear whether Sarah or Mary won the lottery. Here's why. She is a pronoun with unclear reference. The pronoun she could refer to either Sarah or Mary. The sentence doesn't explicitly state who she is. Potential interpretations. Interpretation 1. Sarah told Mary that Mary had won the lottery. Interpretation 2. Sarah told Mary that Sarah had won the lottery. To remove the ambiguity, you need to rephrase the sentence. For example, Sarah told Mary, I won the lottery. Clearly Sarah won. Sarah told Mary that Mary had won the lottery. Clearly Mary won. Do you want me to elaborate further on the concept of ambiguity in sentences?
Beautiful answer from Mzansi AI. This was 100% correct. Exactly what Gemini was testing for. It knew that it's ambiguous, and it knew why it's ambiguous. It explained why it's ambiguous and how to fix it to make it not ambiguous. Even though we didn't ask for this. Right? But it gave it to us anyway. Love this question, 100% correct. We'll move on to question 4. I think there's about 7 questions that Gemini just generated for us for the new ambiguity test. So the next question is, I didn't steal the book because I don't read. Wait, let me delete, or because I don't read. Sorry, I'm copying over the second half of the sentence. So the whole question is, let me bring it over here. The whole question is, I didn't steal the, in quotes, I didn't steal the book because I don't read. End of quote. Then the question is, does the sentence make logical sense as the reason for not stealing the book? Why or why not? So the question, so Gemini is saying no, it doesn't make logical sense as a direct reason for not stealing the book, right? Let's see if Mzansi AI knows it also. So it looks like so far it's good. We have no. Let's listen.
No, the statement I didn't steal the book because I don't read does not make logical sense as a reason for not stealing the book. It's a classic example of a fallacy, specifically, a non sequitur. Here's why. Non sequitur is a Latin phrase meaning it does not follow. The reason given, not reading, has absolutely no logical connection to the action of not stealing. Why it's illogical, stealing a book isn't generally motivated by a lack of literacy. The act of stealing is driven by factors like greed, need, or a desire to possess something without paying for it. Reading ability has no bearing on these motivations. A more logical reason, there are countless reasons why someone might not steal a book. Perhaps they were too afraid of getting caught, didn't want to incur the legal consequences, or simply didn't have a desire to take it. It's a humorous and illogical statement designed to highlight the absurdity of the reasoning. Would you like to explore more examples of logical fallacies or discuss why certain statements are considered illogical?
Once again, correct. So it explained why or what kind of example this is. And it explained why it's not logical. And it also described how a more logical reason for stealing a book would be this. So perfect. Perfect. So it is. So it passed that one also. So far, the first one, it was, say, 50% pass. The second one was incorrect, 100% incorrect. The third one, 100% correct. The fourth one, 100% correct. This is the one that we just asked now. Now we're going to move on to the next one. Let me copy this over. Paste it there. And then we'll ask it the question. So sorry, I didn't even say what the question is. The question is, a sign outside a store reads, free coffee tomorrow. What are the two different ways to interpret the word free in this context? So let's listen to what Mzansi AI has to say.
Okay, let's break down the different ways to interpret free on that sign. Here are two distinct interpretations. 1. Truly free, complimentary. The most straightforward interpretation is that the store is offering free coffee. They're giving it away without requiring any payment, perhaps as a promotion, a sample, or a special offer. This is the typical understanding of free in marketing. 2. Free samples tasting. It could also mean they are offering free samples or tasting of their coffee. Customers can try a small amount before deciding to purchase a larger size. This implies it's not entirely free in the sense of no cost, but rather a limited, complementary offering to encourage sales. Do you want to explore other words with multiple interpretations, or perhaps discuss how context plays a role in defining the meaning of a word?
Very interesting, because I would also think that it is asking, or that this is correct, right? So the first one, it's truly free or a free sample. I can understand maybe if you jiggle it a bit, I can understand why a free sample could be interpreted. But what Gemini was saying, the answer is number one, free cost. So the coffee will be given away without charge, right? The second one, unrestricted slash available. The coffee will be available, perhaps not for purchase, but for people to help themselves. Less common, but possible if it is, but possible if, for example, it's a free for all or a charity event. But they're both free, they have no cost, so I disagree with Gemini's one. Unrestricted is coffee will be available, free coffee tomorrow, perhaps not for purchase, but for people to help themselves. So they're not selling coffee, there's just coffee available there for free. But it's also not for purchase, there's no charge associated. So I don't understand. Look here, guys. This is what it's saying. So cost is free, right? Free cost. The coffee will be given away without charge. This makes complete sense to me. The next one is what's tricking me. This, maybe if someone understands it, let me know in the chat. But the coffee will be available, perhaps not for purchase, but for people to help themselves. Less common, but possible if, for example, it's a free for all or for a charity event. But it's also just free, normal free. So I disagree with this question. I completely disagree with that answer. I'll give Mzansi AI 75% for that question. Because I believe that its answer is more better than what's this thing's one? Gemini's one. Next question. Explain the difference between, or explain the differences in meaning between light blue and slightly blue. Very interesting. I don't even think I can explain that difference. Let's listen.
This is a really interesting linguistic point. The difference between light blue and slightly blue is surprisingly subtle and reveals a lot about how we perceive and describe color. Here's the breakdown. Light blue, this describes a specific hue. Light blue refers to a particular shade, a pale, airy, and often pastel version of blue. It's a recognized color category with established visual characteristics. It suggests a certain aesthetic often associated with calmness, airiness, and a feeling of spaciousness. Slightly blue, this is a more descriptive and subjective assessment. Slightly blue means the color leans toward blue, but it doesn't necessarily imply a pale or pastel shade. It acknowledges that the color has some blue in it, but it could be a deeper blue, a turquoise, or even a color that appears blue under certain lighting conditions. It emphasizes the presence of blue, rather than a specific shade. Think of it this way. Light blue is a type of color, slightly blue is a judgment about the color's relationship to blue. Essentially, light blue is a more precise descriptor, while slightly blue is a more tentative and impressionistic one. Do you want to delve into any particular aspect of this difference, perhaps the psychology of color perception, or how language shapes our understanding of color?
Very interesting. So, once again, 100% correct, right? So, Gemini was saying the exact same thing. Light blue is a specific shade of blue. It's a version of blue that is pale and not dark, right? But slightly blue suggests a hint or a minimal amount of blue. So it's not a version of blue, but whatever you're looking at has a slight tint of blue to it. So just like what Mzansi AI was saying. Very interesting. So you can let me know if you think that's a pass, but I definitely think that's a pass. Let's copy the next one. And that is, consider the statement. Oh, sorry, there's more to it. Okay, so it is. Consider the statement, I'm not saying you are wrong, but dot dot dot, in quotes, right? The question is, how does the word but subtly change the meaning of the preceding phrase, even if the speaker explicitly denies saying anything, right? Very interesting. I don't even think I would be able to get these answers correct. I would be failing if this was an English class. So, let's listen.
You've hit on a really key and fascinating aspect of language. The word but in the phrase I'm not saying you are wrong, that dramatically shifts the meaning and intent, even though the speaker initially claims to be avoiding a criticism. Here's a breakdown of how it works. Creating a contradiction, the but introduces a contradiction. The initial part of the sentence I'm not saying you are wrong is a statement of neutrality or acceptance. The but then undermines that neutrality by immediately implying a contrary view. Subtext and implication, the but doesn't actually say anything. Instead, it's loaded with implied meaning. It signals that the speaker is about to reveal their true opinion, that they do believe the other person is wrong. It's a way of softening the blow while still asserting their own viewpoint. Creating a defensive posture, the but often signals a defensive posture. The speaker is preemptively guarding against the potential criticism or accusation of being overly harsh. A common rhetorical device, this structure is a very common rhetorical device used to preface disagreement. It's a subtle and often manipulative way to express one's opinion without directly confronting the other person. Essentially, the but transforms a statement of neutrality into a veiled disagreement. Do you want to explore other examples of how seemingly small words can dramatically alter the meaning of a sentence, or perhaps discuss how this technique is used in persuasive communication?
I think this is correct, if I'm being honest. Looking at what Gemini said, the word but almost invariably signals that the following will contradict, qualify, or undermine the preceding sentence. So it's basically saying that the sentence that came before, so if you use the word but, or in this case, the use of the word but, it undermines everything that was said before the but. And the real stuff, though, the real things that you need to be listening out for comes after the but. So it disregards everything that it was saying before. So I think Mzansi AI was definitely on the right track and would have passed this if it was an English test. That's the questions. What do you guys think? Let's try a translation question. Translate the following into English. Ngisebenza MIH. So I'm asking it to translate the sentence to English. I'm not saying what language this is, but the sentence or two words is Ngisebenza MIH. So I work at MIH, right? So hopefully it will understand what's it saying. I know it's only one word. I'm learning, but I don't know all the answers or all the words in Zulu yet. But let's see. Yes, I work at MIH. Nice. Let me know what languages does everyone speak in Mzansi. So those in the chat, let me know if you, even if it's Afrikaans, I don't mind. Any language that's out there, let me know. Let's hear what it sounds like in Zulu.
The translation of Ngisebenza MA into English is, I work at MIH. MIH likely refers to a specific organization or institution.
Nice. Wait, I'm trying to think of more words or more things to say. Yo, I'm drawing a blank. Hoe Nice, nice, nice. Do this translate or do the same for hoe How are you? Once again, even though these are basic things, we can see that it is translating stuff. So if there's anyone out there, you can give me a much more bigger sentence and we can translate it from there, but it did get it correct. How are you? And we can also say and unjani question mark. Unjani is also how are you, right? So it looks like it can translate without even another common way of asking how are you in Afrikaans, particularly in Afrikaans, lol, particularly in KwaZulu Natal. So it is Zulu that it's speaking, that it understands. So hopefully one day we can add under the Mzansi AI, we can add a little translate thingy, just giving us the ability to translate things. But there's another one in the chat. So let's see. Please do. Please do. MVAS. MVAS amount. Is that correct? Amount amigo. How much is a playful and informal South African slang phrase? It translates to how much. Is that correct? Big words don't work, don't do the work. There's another one over here. So this one, it looked like I got it. Let me know if that is correct, what this is saying. So this one over here is and amazwi amakhulu awenzi msebenzi. What does that mean? So big words don't do any work. Nice. Big words don't do any work. So it looks like things are happening. It's Xhosa also. Nice. So that's 3 languages inside South Africa that we are translating now. So that was English. So not even translate. So it's also English that it knows. So that's 4 languages in South Africa. That's English, Afrikaans, Zulu, and Xhosa. Let me know if you speak any other languages. We can test it out again. We can do that tomorrow even. I don't mind. But it looks like I'm happy with the performance of Mzansi AI right now. It looks like it's doing the things correctly. It's translating things for us. The only thing that I'm slightly worried about is the ambiguity part of it, right? Where it was asking very subtle questions that I feel like even myself I couldn't answer it. So I'm not going to worry about it too much, but definitely something that we must look into and see why. What I'm excited for, let me open up a new tab over here. So what I'm excited for is Google just had their Google I/O 2025, and it was quite incredible the things that they came up with. Google I/O. Quite incredible the things that they came up with, or they are going to release to the public. And one of the things something that's interesting for us because we are using Gemma, which is the open source version of Mzansi AI, they announced Gemma 3N, right? So let's see if Gemini can tell us about Gemma 3M. So at the moment, it looks like it's not available on Olama, the tool that we're using, right? But it'll probably come later on. Local LLM. 3M models are designed for efficient low resource devices. Yeah, so this, we can ask, wait, before we continue, I won't ask Mzansi AI because it doesn't have most recent information. It has 2013 or 2023 information, sorry. But we'll ask it the question, tell me about Gemma 3N, right? So I'm hoping that this will be released very soon onto the Olama platform, and then we can integrate it. Instead of using the Gemma 3 4 billion parameter, we can use the Gemma 3N, which is the most recent, latest model. So let's listen to what it's saying. You see what I'm saying about how long it takes to load compared to the Mzansi AI where it's instant. Taking quite some time. I'm not sure why. And I don't think it's my internet connection because I'm using Mzansi AI on the same, or I'm using
Gemma
it on
3N
localhost.
is Google's latest addition to its Gemma family of open generative AI models, specifically designed for highly efficient on-device deployment on everyday devices like smartphones, laptops, and tablets. It was announced as being in early preview around May 20th, 2025. Here's a breakdown of its key features and capabilities. Optimized for on-device performance. Per-layer embedding, PLE, caching. This innovation from Google DeepMind significantly reduces RAM usage. While the models have raw parameter counts of 5 billion, 5B, and 8 billion, 8B, PLE caching allows them to operate with a memory footprint comparable to 2B and 4B
Ooh,
models, around
interesting.
2 GB, 3 GB RAM, making them viable for resource-constrained devices. Mat Former, Matryoshka Transformer architecture. This architecture contains nested, smaller models within a larger one.
It's talking long stories now. But that was very interesting what it was saying over here, that while other models with raw parameter counts and stuff have, for like a 5 billion parameter model or 8 billion parameter model, the size of it is comparable to a 2 to 4 billion parameter model, around 2 to 3 gigs. So that means that when the Gemma 3N comes out, we can use an even bigger model than the 4 billion parameter. That means the intelligence of Mzansi AI is just going to increase for free because Google released it to everyone. So I'm quite happy with that. And let me ask it one more question. If it's available on Olama, is it available on Olama? If not, when will it be released? Let's listen, or let's see. So no, it's not publicly available. So you can see over there, it's a very early preview. So maybe about a month or so, and then it will be available for us. So yeah, happy. Let me flip this camera. Let me switch this. So thank you so much for joining today. It was very insightful listening or hearing the answers from Mzansi AI. It gives me more confidence in using Mzansi AI just for my everyday queries and things like this. So going forward, I think once I release the update, version 1.1.7. So I don't want to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I don't want to do that this weekend because I'm working on something now that will. So I'm working on adding a title to your card. So I know Jay, you had this question, and a lot of other members of Mzansi had or came to me and asked me, is it possible for me to add two of the same cards and then just give them different names? Like I know Jay, I think you were speaking about the Infinity people, Infinity Group, and they have multiple cards underneath them. Someone else was also saying that they have their card on and their wife's card on, and they need to differentiate between this. So a lot of people, yes, I asked you about the Infinity Group. Yes, so we did work on it. This we did work on it today, but if I release the update now, it's gonna break all the versions of MIH. So you're gonna have to be forced to upgrade to MIH to the new version of MIH. And I think it is, the banking people just got paid now recently. So if I were to release it, sorry, I'm looking at the date. So if I were to release it this week, or say on the weekend, it's going to break people's wallets over the weekend. So then while they're going grocery shopping, they're not going to be able to use their cards. And it's going to be quite a bad user experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this weekend because I think everyone is getting paid on Friday. The banking people got paid on Tuesday, and everyone will probably go grocery shopping this weekend. So I'll submit it. I'll submit the changes for review on the 26th, and it'll probably on the 27th be live. And yeah, and then it shouldn't affect anyone who's going grocery shopping. Maybe one or two people for those 2 days during the week, but I don't think many people go full on grocery shopping. They just buy one or two things during the week. But yeah, I'm working on that, and that update should be released. And then I think I'm going to start using Mzansi AI just for my everyday things that I use going forward. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining the live today. Very insightful, very helpful. I appreciate the questions, the translation stuff. I like it so much. And yeah, tomorrow, I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, but we'll see what we do. And thank you once again. And let's keep working hard, Mzansi. No.